Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Road America, where we are here for 45 minutes of action-packed racing from the ASRC League, ASRC Online. My name is Kyle Streichars. I will be your commentator tonight for tonight's race, and we got three classes of action here. Ranking from prototype cars all the way to GT3 cars should be really interesting. The field's looking really close. This is the first IMSA series race that I am broadcasting for ASRC, so it's going to be very interesting, and I thank you all for coming in, and it's going to be a wonderful race tonight. Well, alrighty folks, we are here at Road Atlanta, one of the more famous racing circuits in America, famously known for the running of the Petit Le Mans, which you'll be seeing the same type of cars around this track tonight as they run in the real-life race. This is pretty interesting, so let's kind of take through our classes here. So three classes, like I mentioned before. We have the HPD, which is the prototype 2 in iRacing. That will be in the prototype class. The Daytona prototype, with the Corvette C7DP, which no longer races in IMSA in real life, as well as GT3 cars, which is featuring the Roof, the Audi, and the BMW Z4 GT3. Alrighty, folks, we apologize. We just had a little bit of a lag spike here with my internet here, but let's kind of run through the cars. Like I said before, C7DP, HPD, 3 GT3 cars. Let's take a look at these cars and, just see how crazy these cars really are, because these are some of the best road racing vehicles on iRacing. So first thing we are going to take a look at is Jefferson Padovani, and he is driving in one of the GT3 cars, one of the 3 cars that will be racing in this class tonight. Now the scoring is going to be a little bit wonky for the GT3 class, because the way we have it set up, the way iRacing has it set up, they grid all cars in a different class, so it's going to be kind of weird looking at the scoring for the GT3 cars, but the class position, disregard that for the GT3 cars. It is their car position. So right now, Jefferson is currently the first place Audi. This does not mean he is the fastest GT3 car on the field, but again, it kind of goes by manufacturer. So moving on here, we have the Daytona prototype, which is one of my favorite cars in iRacing. It's a crazy car. Unfortunately, it is leaving the IMSA series in real life, which really does stink. I really do enjoy this car. A lot of horsepower. Just look at that diffuser as Michael Blake pilots this thing through the two right-handers here at Road Atlanta. I mean, this car is truly amazing. Now moving on to our HPD class. Let's see if we can get a HPD here. Philip Breno, strong contender 2 weeks ago in the IndyCar series, running the HPD, which is, again, another one of my favorite cars. I love open cockpit prototype cars. This car is insane. 6 speeds, super fast, super light, super agile, a great racing car. And, these guys are the fastest class that are racing tonight. So, 10 minutes into qualifying, let's take a look at where all the drivers stand within this 25-minute open qualifier. Again, this is a 45-minute race. Let's take a peek here for qualify. So, Philip Breno currently on pole for the prototype category here with a 1 minute 11.5. That is a blistering fast lap around this track. Rodrigo Importa de Silva is in second place in prototype. Third place in prototype is Neto, who has scored 9th overall. Moving on to our Daytona prototype class, we have Michael Blake, a strong contender on 2 weeks ago in Auto Club for IndyCar. Pat McWhorter, Ned Adams, and Ned Adams, those are the top 3 in the Daytona prototypes. And in your GT3 class, again, this is going to get a little bit wonky, but Jefferson Padovani currently in first position for GT3, followed by Guilherme Barros, Ronald Etheridge, and Rob Denhoff are in fourth. And Wester Jr. is currently 11th overall and 4th in the Daytona prototype. So this should be interesting, folks. And actually, I was talking to Michael a little bit earlier today over Facebook Messenger, and he wanted me to explain that the GT3 cars, which are the roof, BMW, and Audi, have ballast adjustments to try to make the cars equal, because I know iRacing did a BOP, I think, this build for the World Championship Series for Blank Pain, and that changed up everything, and even now the roof is still... I don't even believe that the RT12R track is up to GT3 spec from what I've heard on the iRacing forums and whatnot. So pretty cool that they're bringing all three of these GT3 cars. As you can see, a roof up there. But it should be very interesting to see how this BOP plays off. Again, this is the preseason, so they're just trying to get everything tweaked for the 2017 season. And the IMSA series, as well as the IndyCar series, will be live on sim racing streams every other Monday night. So I believe how it will go is it will be the first and fourth Monday of every month, or no, second and fourth Monday of every month. Those will be the races that I will be broadcasting live on sim racing streams. Other 2 weeks they have 2 other series that I'm not 100% sure on. So just make sure you guys check these guys out. They run a lot of series, so there's definitely something on roadside and oval side that you could probably fit in and run with these guys. And the website is asrconline.com. Checking up on our HPD drivers here, Philip Reno currently running a hot lap here. Let's take a lap around this circuit with him. So downshifting this quick right-hander up the hill into a blind left-hander, break through here, right-hander tight, turn very difficult through the S's, which is one of the most difficult parts of the track. Your line is key going through here, and it's very fast-paced. This left-hander gets you a lot. You have a runoff on the right side, which Philip just hit, and that can really upset the car and get it loose. Coming through these 2 right-handers, 2 90-degree right-hander turns. They're a little bit banked. Come through the first one, come through the second one, onto the really long straightaway. You go up the hill. As you can see, Philip is going to need to work his way around these slower cars, which I believe that is a DP and a GT3 car. Making the left-hander through the chicane, pushing a little bit high, the right-hander through the chicane, and up and down this hill here, and accelerating hard out. And that's pretty much a lap around Road Atlanta. Not the longest track that I believe the series goes to, but again, there's a lot packed into a small package. Reminds you a lot about Lime Rock. You got a lot of tight turns, a lot of fast turns, a lot of elevation changes, and it just makes this a very unique track to race on, and a very fun track to race on. So pretty interesting. Checking up on some of our Daytona prototype guys. Ned Adams in the 66 having a little bit of issues coming off track here. Wes Hurd and the Hans device, C7DP, just navigating his way through the track, putting in laps, putting in times. Again, this is a very difficult track, and especially with these multi-class cars. I know there's only 11 cars showing up here tonight, but still going to be very difficult navigating through the traffic for the HPDs and the Daytona prototypes. Now I want to give a quick shout out for my overlays. Those are thanks to ibog.co. Jason Allison makes amazing overlays, and this is his Fox 2015. You can head over to ibog, sign up, and you can get this overlay if you want to broadcast yourself. Again, I want to apologize for the network issues we were having earlier on in the stream, but it looks like they have thinned out. So coming down with the last 9 minutes of qualifying here. Well, back to our GT3 category, the Audi R8. Do not have this car, never driven it in iRacing, but I've heard it's a fun one to drive. I think it's similar to the Roof because it is a rear-engine car, so is the Roof. Roof is my favorite GT3 car. I love running the Roof GT3 series within iRacing. Very fun series. Sprint series, so quick races, but they are super competitive, and they are a fixed series, so it makes it for very interesting and close racing. Pulling back here, we have a BMW. Haven't talked about this. This is captained by Ronald Etheridge, and here he comes through the second right 90-degree turn and going up the hill. Just sticking behind some HPD and as well as an Audi. Now, I don't know if you saw on the screen, but the orange HPD flashed his lights. This is something iRacing added a few builds ago. Basically, flash to pass used to kind of get the GT3 drivers or slower classes' attention, saying, "Hey, look out! I'm back here." Now that isn't. There's a lot of confusion on iRacing about it. Whether it's it's not just move out of the way. It's just kind of signifying that, hey, I'm here. Just remember that I brake a lot later than you, and I carry a lot more speed. So just kind of there. So pretty interesting. Now, this is not like the actual IMSA series in real life, the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, where they actually run each class individually in real life, but this series, I do not believe iRacing supports single class qualifying. So that's something interesting. So again, the HPD cars and the C7DPs, as well as the GT3s, kind of got to share the track with some other classes who they are not competing against. That's something very unique about multi-class racing. You aren't competing against a lot of the guys on the field. But 11 cars set to race today, so it should be pretty interesting. Looks like we have 3 HPDs, 4 Daytona prototypes, and 4 GT3 cars. So should be pretty interesting. So we have a I did see a BMW and a Roof as well as the Audi. We were talking about that earlier. So we do have those 3 classes out here on the track. So folks, we're looking at 5 different cars, 5 different body styles racing around this track. So you're going to see a lot of diversity on the racetrack tonight, and it's going to be really interesting. Again, this is the Associated Sim Racing Club Monday Night Sports Car Racing live on Sim Racing Streams from Road Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia, USA. Wrapping it up with the last 5 minutes of qualifying here. Drivers going to put in their last times before we get set to grid here for 45 minutes around Road Atlanta. Alrighty, folks, wrapping up the last minute and a half or so of qualifying. So, yeah, let's kind of run through the results and see where everyone stacks up for tonight's race. So Carlos Neto currently on pole for the prototype class, followed by Philip Breno, Rodrigo, and Porta de Silvia. And those are your top three, and the prototype class, which is the HPD. Moving on to our Daytona prototype category, Ned Adams, Pat McCorder, Michael Blake 2, and Wes Hurd. Now, these are your overall positions, 4th through 7th, but they are 1st through 4th in their Daytona prototype class. Moving on to the GT3 category, Jefferson Padovani currently on pole for that class, followed by Guilherme Barros, which is in 2nd, Ronald Etheridge in 3rd, and Rob Denhoff in 4th, the only Porsche or roof competing within tonight's race. So that should be interesting to see how he sticks in, see how, all three GT3 cars stack up against each other. That is our official qualifying results from Road Atlanta, coming to an end with 20 seconds remaining. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that on the road courses they should get a 2-minute time for flyers. So if they don't cross the line in 4 seconds, I think that they can continue and do another lap, but I'm not 100% sure. As we wait here for them to finish qualifying. Yes, I do believe they will have 1 or 2 minutes to finish a hot lap if they're on one. There's only 3 cars on track currently, Rodrigo and Porta de Silvia, Michael Blake, and Jefferson Padovani. Those are your top 3 guys, or 3 guys left currently on track, and I believe that is Rodrigo pulling off the track. And yes, pretty much all the cars are off the track. Qualifying, I do believe, has a minute or 2 remaining. So again, folks, this is going to be a great race. It's going to be really fun to watch, and I'm very thankful I get to commentate because the guys here in this league are just super clean, always fun racing. The 2 races, or in the 1 race I already called for them. So these guys are really cool. You should really check them out. Again, ASRConline.com. So qualifying, just wrapping up here, getting ready for the cars to grid. Actually, I do believe that my overlays are actually counting GT3 as 1 class instead of 3, so that's something I can note now, so I know that works, so that should be pretty interesting. Also be expecting a new overlay change-up. I'm kind of starting to work on my own overlay, kind of tweaking it for just to change it up a little bit, but again, you will still be seeing this Fox 2015 overlay for the next month or so until I get my other one out, which should be out soon. Just a lot of coding involved, but really, I mean, definitely a learning curve, especially with me kind of screwing around with the broadcasting stuff for the last few years. It's really interesting how far I've came and how simple it really is compared to what I thought it was. Anyway, getting down to the grid here. Let's take a look at our lineup here. I apologize, I have the wrong series logo for the gridding. But anyway, Carlos Neto currently on pole, followed by Philip Bro, Rodrigo and Porta de Silvia rounding off 3rd, 4th place Ned Adams, 5th Michael Blake, 6th Pat McCorder, 7th Wes Hurd, 8th Jefferson Padovani, 9th Guilherme Barros, and 10th Ronald Etheridge. 11th is Rob Denhoff, and that is your starting lineup for tonight's race. Again, I apologize, I had the old SCCI series logos on here from when I used to do the SCCI broadcast. But anyways, 11 cars gridding. As you can see, we got 3 HPDs on the grid so far, 4 Daytona prototypes, and 3 GT3 cars have gridded already. So getting ready to roll off the grid here for tonight's race. Should be a very interesting one. Going to be, again, fast pace, 45 minutes. This race is not going to be long. I do not believe they have to pit stop. Should be very interesting. And coming down to 20 seconds remaining left till we roll off the grid here. Again, 11 cars setting for the field tonight. 3 different classes racing in the prototype. We have the HPDs, followed by Daytona prototypes with the C7DP and GT3 cars, which are the roof, BMW, and Audi. So a kind of a weird combo, especially throwing that roof in there. Definitely a little bit of a wild card for sure. But we're getting ready to roll off here. As here we go, rolling off the grid. Now, I do not know if this series has a split start. I do not know if the slower classes fall back. It should be interesting. My first time calling the series, so it should be interesting to see if they do a split start or not. I'm pretty sure the GT3s will hang back, but I don't know about the C7s. But yeah, HPDs are definitely way faster than the DPs. So these guys are going to fall back really quickly. And even the GT3s, those guys, pretty interesting, especially to have all these classes, all these cars, 5 different cars, like I mentioned before, racing in this race. And coming through the S's on their warm-up lap here. ASRC definitely well represented today. We got 1 HPD, 3 Daytona prototypes. So that's 4 cars running an ASRC livery. They look actually pretty freaking cool if you ask me. So yeah, here we go. Leaving a lot of room between the pace car, but here they go. And not doing a split start, something interesting. I would have expected a split start, knowing with my multi-class experience here within iRacing. So not really sure how it's gonna happen, but here we go. 45 minutes of racing here today at Road Atlanta. Here the cars coming through the final chicane. Pace car preparing to duck off onto the pit road. And that is Carlos Neto leading the field to the green flag in the number 2 Peak Antifreeze HPD. Pace car ducks off on the accelerator, and we are green flag racing here at Road Atlanta, folks. So we're going to keep our eyes on the HPDs for the first few turns here. Carlos already trying to pull up front. HPD's following in line 1, 2, 3. Falling back to our Daytona prototypes, Ned Adams getting the jump on the start, followed by Michael Blake. Peck McCorder, Wes Hurd Jr. are your top 4 in the C7DP category. Falling back to the GT3, see how these guys gotten through the start. Looks like the Audi of Jefferson Padovani already out to a pretty decent sized lead. Ronald Etheridge in second place in that class in his BMW Z4. Third place, Rob Denhoff. The roof already moved up 1 position. And fourth place, we have the Audi of Guilherme Barros. Getting back up to our class leader, or our overall leader, Carlos Neto. Philip Reno, still pretty close together. Rodrigo Importa de Silvia fell back a little bit. He may have went off track a little bit on somewhere in between those first 2 90-degree corners, so he's gonna have to make up some ground already. But Ned Adams still our leader in Daytona prototype. Now it's going to be interesting watching Rodrigo navigate through these Daytona prototypes, especially in this section. Let's ride along with him and see how he gets through here. This should be interesting because this is a very difficult section of the track to pass. Looks like he gets a little bit loose trying to get on the left side, but the DPs and HPDs have such similar acceleration. Here he goes, making a move onto the outside. I believe he cleared him. Yep, and he is back up in 4th place overall. Take a peek back up at our leader here, Carlos Neto, still leading. Led the first 2 laps. Philip Breno falling a little bit behind him, 1.7 seconds behind. No big deal, though. Still lots of racing to go. We are only 2 laps in. Falling back to the GT3 category, Jefferson Padovani already breaking out to a pretty staggering lead. Up by 3 point... Excuse me, looks like he is up by 13 seconds already. Now, folks, he is up by 15 seconds. He definitely has a lot of pace on the field, but this battle for 2nd place in GT3 is actually pretty close as Ronald Etheridge kind of gets a little bit loose coming up into the turn. He's going to lose some time right there. You know, him and excuse me. Yeah, Rob and Ronald could have potentially gotten into a little bit of a contact there in the GT3 category, slowing him down. But Patrick McCorder, Daytona prototype, off the pace, big time. He's about 9 seconds behind a 3rd place HPD. Looks like he does have some damage on the front right of the car. Let's kind of go back here and see if we can see anything that happened here. So here he goes, coming up the first turn. This is before he has damage. And he may have just spun it, may have been one of those things. I'm not 100% sure. I did not see it happen. Oh, gets a loose coming through the S's and spins the car out. Luckily, looks like a little bit of front end damage on the right front, like I said before, but nothing that's going to completely ruin his race. Getting back up front, Carlos Neto still in the lead in the prototype category, as he's going to cross the line with about 5 minutes into the race today. Good work by him, just sticking out there, staying clean. Coming through the chicane. And his number 2, peak antifreeze HPD. Philip Breno is now 3.3 seconds behind him. Definitely putting a gap behind him now. Again, I'm not 100% if these cars need to pit. Did not talk to Michael before the race went off here, but I know the general way the Proto GT series runs, which is a series I run in often. I know you have to pit around 30 to 35 minutes into the race, so they might have to pit. I am not sure if they're using a fuel limit, as Philip Breno goes way off track coming out of the S's here. Pulling back to our GT3 class leader, Jefferson Padovani, actually ahead of 2 Daytona prototypes, ahead of Pat McCorder and Wes Hurd Jr. And his number 8 Audi gets a little bit loose, corrects it though. Good save by the 8 machine. It's still leading the GT3 category. Good work by him. But that is the number 84 Pat McCorder in the Daytona prototype. Gonna get around him. Let's take a look back at our GT3 category here. 2nd place, this is Ronald Etheridge, currently in 2nd place. Now just disregard the number plate on his car. It's just ranking him 1st position for his car, like I mentioned before. But again, I don't think I had that issue with the overlay, so that's good. Rob Denhoff in the roof. behind him. Field is already pretty strung out 10 minutes into the race. Not really seeing any battles on track. That is Guilherme Barros we're looking at, who 25 seconds behind third place in the GT3 category. Must have had an issue early on in the race, but Carlos Neto and Philip Breno, this looks like the closest battle so far on track. No, excuse me. Michael Blake and Ned Adams are battling very close together, running together in the Daytona Prototype category. This is a battle for first position in that class, separated by only a few tenths between these two guys, which is actually very close in road racing. These two guys, teammates running similar ASRC liveries. You can see a little bit of difference on the front ends of those cars between those two guys, but they're just running together, and definitely a pretty big battle so far. These guys are going to stick together. Don't really know what to expect out of these guys. I haven't watched them race enough yet, but yeah, these guys looking pretty good so far. 10 minutes into the race, or almost 10 minutes into the race. Oh, looks like Michael Blake goes off track, gonna lose that first position. Ooh, that was not good. Looks like he just pushed a little bit. Let's fall back, take a peek at that replay there. So here he comes, coming up. Put this in slow motion here. So it looks like he just gets too hot into the turn. It's in that grass. When you hit that grass, I know from experience that it just pulls you right in and you can't get back on. It is like ice. Back up front in the prototype category, Carlos Neto still in the lead. Now 6.9 seconds ahead of Philip Breno. Now, GT3s are already starting to get lapped as he is approaching the number 8 Audi of Jefferson Padovani. This is the leader in the GT3 category. He is approaching. Looks like he should get around him on the straightaway. Really big speed difference between these two cars. Again, the HPD, a lot more aerodynamic, has a lot more power to weight ratio, and just power is right by it coming into the chicane. Take a look at our Daytona Prototype battle. Looks like Michael Blake is trying to reel him back in, reel Ned Adams back in after the little mistake he had in turn 1 about a lap ago. But they are just still moving along here. As we officially pass the 10-minute mark, looks like Ned gets a little bit off track through here. Jefferson Padovani, an incident for him. This is not good for the GT3 class leader. Definitely gonna make the gap close between him and Ronald Etheridge. Let's take a peek at the replay, see what happened. Oh, looks like he was all the way around. He's got to run a little bit more, but let's ride an in-car with him and check out what happened. Looks like he just gets a little bit loose coming through that right-hand kink, locks it up in time. Ooh, barely even touches the wall. That is no damage for him, but definitely going to lose time from that one. And waiting patiently for the other cars to go by so it doesn't cause an incident. Gets back on track and gets back up to speed. He is good to go. No damage for him. Ronald Etheridge going off track as well. And looks like him and I believe that is okay, the 9 car appears to have damage. Look, he will reset. So now Guilherme Barros is now in second, but That looks like Jefferson Padovani is almost about to lap him. So, do not know what happened to Guilherme on the start. Could have gotten damage. I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't see it. Too busy covering the start of the race. Do not know what happened. But he's already going a lap down just 10 minutes into this race. Not the greatest start for him for sure. Getting back up front to our leader again, Carlos Neto still just leading the pack here, just being consistent. Philip Bro is now 9.5 seconds behind him. Lost a lot of ground. Carlos has pretty quick pace. I'm looking at the times right here. Take a peek at his best lap. If I can get that. I can't. Okay, here's the fastest lap. Yeah, Carlos, 1:11.6. That is 4 tenths faster than Philip Barreau's fastest time. So he is definitely being the class of the field today, showing him who's boss, running the fastest lap so far this race. Jefferson Padovani almost coming up on Guilherme Barros here, putting him a lap down, throwing his number 8 Audi R8 into a lap ahead of his entire GT3 field. So just 15 minutes in, he's already lapped the entire field. Good work by him. Good job staying consistent. He choked a little bit again coming into that second turn. That kink's a very difficult turn. So keeping it together. Good for him. Getting back up front with our Daytona prototype battle right here. Still for first position. Michael Blake, Ned Adams are still very close together. As long as these guys stay together, they're going to have a pretty good finish between the two of them, but they are just riding consistent. Now, the DP, kind of a difficult car to drive. Have plenty of experience with it in Petit Le Mans, 6 hours of the Glen, 2 races that I ran in this car. That were on the endurance side. Now this car feels a lot bigger than it is in my opinion, and it's just really difficult to kind of get used to how it is because it doesn't really handle like you think a prototype car would. It doesn't have that downforce that you think it would, so it's a lot more acceleration power, and you got to really slow down for the turns, which makes this car very different and iRacing to drive. You know, it's basically a beefed up prototype with a GT3 car aerodynamics, so it's definitely a little bit of a weird car to drive, especially when you've been driving the HPD for a few months. And I swap back over to the DP. Oh my god, it was just so difficult to get acclimated to this car. Very crazy. I had to change up all my braking points for this track when I ran Petit Le Mans. So coming down to our 15 minutes into the race here, 1/3 of the way done. If you're just joining, this is the ASRC League here at Road Atlanta. This is a preseason event. Check them out, asrconline.com. Take a peek at our GT3 cars, and looks like Jefferson Padovani is about to lap Guilherme. Take a look on this guy, see how he gets around another guy in the same car, same class. So the Audi's looking very strong today. But it's going to be really interesting to see once they finally get the GT3 cars balanced out. It's going to be really cool to watch them all battle. Going to be very fun. And, you know, I'm going to be watching that. It's going to be pretty interesting. Looks like Philip Breno had an issue. He is now in the pits. Now, he was the second place HPD at the time. Alright, here we go right here. He may have had an issue here. Now, this is a replay. I knew I went back at least a minute too far, so it should be interesting to see. Let's just check out what happened to him. Oh, gets loose and smacks that inside wall. That's another issue we had. I do believe he went off track through there. That's a lot of damage on the HVD. This car is very damage prone, very fragile, so that's definitely going to hurt him. As you can see, he's still in the pits. Now, backing up to Carlos Neto, about to lap some Daytona prototypes. That is the 18 machine of Michael Blake. Now Michael and Ned are still very close, still going to battle for this lead here. Definitely going to shake this up as Carlos comes to lap them. Gets around Michael clean, coming up through the first turn here. Should be interesting. Now Carlos has really nothing to stress about here, with the closest car behind him being 20 seconds behind. That's Rodrigo and Porta de Silvia. So he can relax getting through here. Here he comes up through the left-hander coming out of the S's. Now again, these cars are very similar speed-wise when it comes to the corners. The HVD just has so much downforce. So it should be interesting to see when Carlos makes the move around Ned Adams. Going to try to use that downforce in the HVD to his advantage. Ooh, looks like Ned Adams locks up the brakes. That's going to be to Michael Blake's benefit here. Going to gain about a tenth or two. Michael will. But these guys are still close. Just 9/10 separates these two cars. Falling back to our GT3 category, Jefferson Padovani got still not around Guilherme. So must had a little issue there. Or Guilherme's picking up the pace. He might have had an issue in the start, but he might actually have more pace in the end. Big pack of cars through here. It should be interesting to watch this unfold. Ooh, DP's going DP and GT3 going side by side through the two 90-degree corners. See some smoke. Ned Adams locked up his brakes, but he is around safely through the GT3 cars. Michael Blake gonna make his move now, using the draft to his advantage, slingshotting right by both those cars, using the insane horsepower of the Daytona prototype to just fly by those guys. But gonna be interesting to watch these two go side by side into the chicane here. The two Audis braking hard. Looks like Guilherme's going to get the edge there, getting to that apex before Jefferson. But still, Jefferson has pretty much a lap on him. So Guilherme's going to have to find a lot of pace, because Jefferson is still leading on his neck. And Guilherme Barros is just battling for his life right now, trying to stay in front of the... or stay on the lead lap, excuse me. Moving back up front, checking out our prototype leader so far, Carlos Neto, leading lots of the laps here, so good for him. Great work by him. Just definitely the class of the field today. I believe he led every single lap so far. And now that we are at almost halfway, let's take a peek at our race summary. So 16 laps so far. Leader is Carlos Santos still. 0 lead changes, so Carlos has just gotten up front and he's staying up front. There are no cautions on road courses, so we not to worry about any of these cautions here, but that is the race summary. Checking out the weather here. So 81 degrees, 108.14 track temp, and 77 degrees humidity, and it is clear here in Georgia. And just some little tidbits about Road Atlanta here. It is in Brazelton, USA, 2.5 miles, so your average super speedway for that matter. Track temp 108.4, altitude 955.89 feet, and 12 turns on the circuit. Take a peek at our prototype Daytona prototype battle here. Michael Blake still on Ned Adams' back. Ned Adams going to get off the track and lose a lot of time. This is going to be good for Michael Blake as he's going to try to get a draft. Looks like he will get around Ned Adams. He does. And Michael Blake back out front in the Daytona prototype class. Now, Michael utilized Ned's mistake and gets right around him. Now, Ned Adams is going to have to chase after Michael Blake for that first position. Pack McCorder and Wes Hurd now. Wes is in a gap of 18.3 seconds behind him right now. So he has the third place Daytona prototype. And Wes Hurd again in fourth. Not a scratch on his car, so he's just keeping the car clean. And, you know, maybe he might be able to get around him some point later on in this race. Now that Hans DP is actually one of the coolest Daytona prototypes I've ever seen. Livery-wise, looking pretty good. I really like the accenting on it. Very nice paint. Getting back up front. Carlos Neto still leading. Let's just take a peek at our running order so far here in Road Atlanta. So after 25 minutes of competition, Carlos Neto in the lead in prototype, followed by Rodrigo and Porta da Silva in second. Michael Blake, Ned Adams, Pat McCorder, Wes Hurd Jr. are your top four in Daytona prototype. GT3 cars, Jefferson Padovani, Guilherme Barros, Rob Denhoff are your top three in that class. Philip Bro, I believe he may have retired because I have not seen him on track. He is currently at 0 miles an hour. I do not believe he is on track right now. So Philip Bro has retired, and Ronald Etheridge has retired as well. So down to 9 cars still running here today at Road Atlanta, coming down to 20 minutes remaining here. Carlos Neto just dominating the prototype class today, dominating the race in general, leading every single lap, just pulling away. He's just using that clean air to his advantage, and just no one in his rear view, no one ahead of him, so he's just going to run laps, most likely for the next 20 minutes, unless he has an issue. But, I mean, he's still going to have to kind of navigate through the GT3 cars and the Daytona prototypes as well. Moving back up to the DP, Michael Blake and Ned Adams still battling. This has definitely been a battle between these two guys forever. These guys just competing side by side. Looks like Michael gets in the grass a little bit coming out of the last turn here. But Ned looks like he does have some rear spoiler damage on his machine. It looks a little bit bent. Same thing with the front splitter. Looks a little bit out of shape for him. These two just riding together for most of the race. Good job for them, just, you know, partnering up, and, you know, this is going to be a good finish for whoever gets the victory in Daytona prototype. Falling back to GT3, haven't talked about these guys in a while. Jefferson Padovani still your leader, trying to get around Guilherme, but Guilherme is just showing lots of pace today. But, yeah, Guilherme is actually running faster, 2 seconds faster than Jefferson. So, I mean, you might see a little bit of an upset here as they come around, get between Rob Denhoff in his Roof or Porsche. Now, I do believe I've heard that iRacing has gotten the Porsche license, so that should be an interesting thing. Finally, to see Porsches come out. Porsches are some of my favorite cars. When I went to the IMSA race at Watkins Glen this year, I actually managed to snag 2 bumpers off of Cup cars, and that was definitely really cool. I got one in my room here. I went in my room at my dad's house, so that's pretty cool that I managed to snag that. I snagged some quarter panels. Cool stuff, and, I mean, Porsche's favorite car of all time. I really want one in real life, and, you know, these cars are just beautiful. Now, getting back up into our DP lead battle right here, Ned is just riding on Michael's bumper. These two are side by side. Pretty crazy between these two guys. Rodrigo imported to Sylvia. Haven't talked about him in a while, but he is still running clean, still behind Carlos by 27.7 seconds. And he is going to come up to get around these Daytona prototype guys battling for the leads. This should be an interesting set of corners here as Rodrigo attempts to get around these Daytona prototype guys as they're battling for the lead, coming down to almost 15 minutes remaining. So this race has gone by really quickly. There he goes, taking inside line through turn 1. And looks like he's going to catch Michael coming out of the S's, potentially, and get around on him through that little short straightaway to the right-handers. Let's see what happens here. He's going to use the draft, and yes, looks like he's going to get around him coming into those right-handers, those really high-speed right-handers. Actually, really bank and carry a lot of speed through them. The second one is a little bit crazy, it's a little bit difficult to hit the perfect apex. As you can see, Michael and Rodrigo both missed the apex there. Now, Westford Jr., I haven't talked about him, sitting comfortably in 4th position as of right now. Doing a pretty good job, just kind of sitting there and, you know, could make a move. He is 1 lap behind Pat, so I do not believe he'll be able to get 3rd, but he is just kind of just putting around, having a good time here in that Hans Corvette. Back up to Pat McWhorter. Haven't talked about him either. He is another one of the ASRC cars. Coming up through turn 1 and almost coming through the S's here. Sitting comfortably in 3rd, 10.8 seconds behind the leaders in that class. These two guys. He might be able to catch him if the two leaders start battling and side by side and bumping and banging fenders. Believe it or not, this car can do a little bit of that, which is pretty crazy. Carlos Neto gonna navigate around some GT3 cars. Let's ride along with him as he comes through these guys. Come to this section here. Let's coming through the S's here. Again, like what I said, very important to apex the turns right. I said this earlier in qualifying. This can really make or break your lap coming through here as he comes out of the left-hander and gets through. Jefferson and Guilherme coming through the right-hander, clears them both, and still leading the race. Good job by him, leading all the laps so far, 100% of the race, so he's running a picture-perfect race today. Michael Blake still battling with Ned Adams. Excuse me, Ned Adams actually fell back a little bit. Fell back about 4 seconds, could have gotten loose or something. So the 66 machine has fallen off the leader's pace a little bit. So Michael Blake leading in this class. Now, don't know really what can happen here. Kind of ramps off the curbs. Gonna be interesting to see how it shakes out. Can he reel in him by 4.7 seconds now? But this is gonna be interesting for Pat McWhorter because now he's gained a lot of time on him. He was at 11 seconds before. Now he's 7.3 behind Ned. So it should be very interesting to see if he can actually catch him. Now falling back to our GT3 class, Jefferson Padovani is still trying to get around Guilherme Barros. He is just battling to stay on the lead lap for the GT3 category. Just running his line, having a pretty good time. And looks like Guilherme makes the move. He fight for that lead lap, but he kind of goes off track here. Jefferson Padovani just cannot get around him. Oh, looks like he's going to go off track a little bit. That's going to lose some time there. Not going to be happy with him after this race for not letting him by. But again, Jefferson can back off big time. He doesn't have to be trying to get around this guy because he's second place and he's about to lap him. So he's got an entire lap to try and get around him, which I think is going to be hard to do in 12 minutes unless something catastrophic happens to Jefferson, like he spins out or something. Well, even that is kind of over exaggerating. He's going to have to spin 3 or 4 times in order for Guilherme to catch him at the pace that they're going, running so similar times to each other. Getting back up front here. Carlos Neto still leading as he's been doing for the entire race. Getting used to seeing this car up front in the HPD. Here he goes, coming up through the right-hander again with 11 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Really starting to wrap up this race. Coming to a quick end here. About to lap Wesser Jr., who is currently 4th place in the Daytona Prototype category. Now, Pat McCorder is kind of decreased his rate of closing on Ned Adams, but can see him up there, so should be interesting to see if he can actually catch up to him. But Mike Blake just cruising up front, enjoying that. Good work by him. Just keeping the car up there, and just gonna probably try to run consistent laps for the next 10 minutes. And looks like he's could potentially come home with the victory if he stays consistent. Philip Breno appears to be back on track. Looks like he got all of his damage fixed. So now he is just going to putt around for a while. He actually could potentially... No, excuse me, no. He cannot get around Rob Denhoff at all. Just not enough time left for him to make up 3 laps on him. So looks like Philip Bro is going to finish 10th overall. And that is 3rd place in the prototype category. Other news, Rodrigo Imported to Silvia has actually gained some time here. The leader of the race, so he's 18.6. He was about 25, I want to say, earlier on, but he's picking up the pace, so he might have something for him. Now, again, I don't know if these guys have to pit, but let me take a peek at the lap times here. Looks like Rodrigo is consistently running faster laps, so he might be able to get around him. Again, I'm not 100% sure. It's not kind of very difficult to call considering how close the race is to the end here. Wrapping up with under 10 minutes remaining. Should be 7 or so laps, so that would be my guess. These guys have to turn before... We'll figure out who gets to celebrate in Victory Circle tonight. This 45-minute distance race, though, I like it. I like how there's no pit stops. I like how it's sprint racing. And multi-class sprint racing is really kind of something I come to enjoy. Grand Touring Cup, great example. So much fun of a series. I love that series so much. It features the Mustang, Volkswagen Jetta, and Pontiac Solstice. So kind of like this series, but with a lot slower cars. I kind of want to think of it as the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, like what like IMSA's second tier series in real life. So pretty cool to see that happen there. GT Cup, fun thing to run. Proto GT Series features these cars, HPD, and the GT3 is definitely the shake and I really like. So this is really combining 3 series within iRacing. Uh, that would be the Blank Pain GT3 series, the Proto GT series, and the IMSA series. So combining 3 series together is actually really cool. I really like that idea. Kind of racing cars that don't really race against each other in iRacing, but race against each other in real life. So pretty interesting to see that go down here. Coming down to 7 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Definitely in the tail end of this race here. Should be over very quickly. Let's take a look at this battle here. Looks like Pat McWhorter is definitely fallen off the pace big time. 10 seconds behind Michael Blake. So Michael Blake, a big weight off him. But in other news, looks like Jefferson Padovani has really fallen behind Guilherme, and he might be able to potentially muster something up for the finish here. Looks like he does have some damage on the left side. We did not catch that on the broadcast here, but he has some damage, and oof. I don't know if it's gonna slow him down, but I don't think it's gonna slow him enough for the 801 machine to catch up to him and change the fate of this race in the GT3 category. But still 10 cars running again. Again, mentioned a few minutes ago that Philip Bro has brought his car back out of the pits, got some repairs, and he's going to finish off the race here. So good work for him. Michael Blake has fallen off the pace. Excuse me. Pat McWhorter's in the lead. Michael Blake fell back. I think I might have screwed that up earlier. Unless Michael Blake had another issue, I'm not sure. Wasn't really not on focus on crash, so I don't understand if there's any contact or anything. Jefferson Padovani still leading in the GT3 category, and then as Rodrigo Importa de Silva knocking his gap down to 16 seconds. So that's 2 seconds last time we checked in on him, but I don't believe he's going to have enough time for him to catch up to Carlos and, get the win in this race. But, he's going to take a podium, second position in the prototype class. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this field, especially that this is this is the preseason almost, so should be expecting some bigger field sizes once come 2017. Gonna be interesting. Gonna be really cool. Gonna be covering again, like I said before earlier on in the broadcast. I'm gonna be covering the IndyCar series as well as the series. Also expect there may be a Friday night truck series coming on as Sim Racing streams. Friday nights. That'll be this Friday. A league contacted me. They run trucks at night, so gotta be interesting to get a all oval series. Haven't really done any NASCAR stuff, more IndyCar, sports car stuff. It's more kind of my experience here with broadcasting, so it should be interesting. So tune into that. You can check out on the homepage for Sim Racing streams on YouTube. You can see all the upcoming broadcasts, set reminders, and cool stuff like that, so you will never miss a race. Carlos Neto still leading. Good work by him. Still leading. Great work, just leading every single lap, staying out there, keeping the car clean, just taking his time. Now, Padovani, I still in the lead for the GT3 category. Guilherme is actually making up some pretty significant time. He's about a quarter of a track length ahead of him, that 801 car. The Audi R8 going off track a little bit, gonna lose some time right there, but he's definitely pulled away a lot from Jefferson, so good work by him. As looks like Rodrigo is pitting, so the cars might actually have to pit. Going off the pit lane. Yes, looks like all the Daytona prototypes have pitted. So that might have been why Michael Blake fell off. But Pat McWhorter now in second position. Oh, Michael Blake must have had a contact and then he must have got repairs because he has 2 pits. He pit twice, and Pat McWhorter actually gonna be in a battle for the first position in Daytona prototype. So should be a cool finish between these 2 guys. Michael Blake was up there now. I believe he must have got damaged or needed to pit again or something, and he lost pretty much all his time. But now it's Ned Adams and Pat McWhorter, another group of ASRC guys trying to put it out there. So should be a close finish between these 2 guys. Could be an interesting battle to watch as there's the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds of tonight's race. GT3 category, Jefferson Padovani looks like he's pretty much clinched the victory here tonight. So good work by him, staying out front, keeping that number 8 Audi R8 all clean. Come down with under 2 minutes remaining left in tonight's race. Carlos Neto in the lead, gonna bring it home in first position as it looks like. So great work for him. Definitely the class of the field tonight, leading every single lap for 45 minutes. So really good work for him. Congratulations to him. He's been doing a great job. So coming up, I believe we're gonna have, this is 2 to go. Or next time we want to go, I'm not sure. Really confusing how the timing works here with an iRacing. Generally, the last lap. I don't know if it's if they can't make another lap, but I think this might be next time by will be the last lap or the lap after that. Because I'm not sure. Once the time ends, I think it's last lap, or it's the other way around, where when it comes down, you have to run 1 more lap. It's kind of confusing how the time system goes. So let's take a peek at our Daytona prototype battle. Ned Adams has pulled away 1.3 seconds. That's 4:10 since we last checked on this battle. So here they go, coming up. And looks like we're going to get the white flag this time. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens here as the clock runs out. I believe this will be the white flag this time. So Carlos Neto gonna take home the victory tonight in his number 2 HPD Peak Antifreeze sponsored car. Good work by him. Coming up through down the back stretch, which I believe is for the final time, not 100% sure. Sounds like Carlos is at me. We out of gas. No. And Carlos Neto, believe he will win tonight. Take a look at our Daytona prototype battle here. Coming through the last 2 turns, looks like Ned Adams is going to get the victory in that class. Down and around. Believe Ned Adams is gonna get it unless there is 1 more lap. Nope, this was the final lap. Okay, following our GT3s, Jefferson Padovani coming up the hill for the last time, down, and he will cross the line. And Jefferson Padovani is going to win it in the GT3 category for tonight. So congratulations to him and all of our class winners tonight. So let's let everyone settle down here, and we will check out the results of tonight's race. Again, this was the Associated Sim Racing Club Monday Night Sports Car Racing Live on Sim Racing Streams. This is the preseason. Full season will be coming 2017. Second and fourth Mondays every month. I will be broadcasting those races, so stay tuned. And let's just let everyone cross the line, make sure everyone is scored. I believe everyone is scored here. Everyone's cooling down here. So that was tonight's race. Now let's take a peek at the results and see where everyone finished. So Carlos Neto with a dominating performance tonight leads every single lap and comes home first, followed by Rodrigo Amporna de Silva in second. In third in prototype is Philip Bro, finished 10th overall, had the issue, got some damage, needed to get repairs. Moving on to the Daytona prototype category, Ned Adams taking the win over there, followed by Pat McCorder, Michael Blake, Wes Hurd Jr. That is your Daytona prototype. And last but not least, we have the GT3 category, Jefferson Padovani taking the win in that class, followed by Guilherme Barros in second for that class. Third place, Rob Denhoff, the only Porsche / roof to race. And last but not least, Ronald Etheridge finishing fourth place in the GT3 category. And Ned Adams going to do his victory burnouts here for his class. Good work by him. Anyways, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning into Sim Racing Streams tonight. And check back here next week, where we are picking up another league, I believe, and that is IndyCars on Oval, so check that out. I believe we'll be broadcasting the first race for them next week, so those will be the opposite weeks of ASRC. Also, check out on Friday, I might have a race up there that is cyberracing.club, and check those guys out as well. They run Truck Series, so a little bit late night. I believe the races start around 9 o'clock, so that will be every other Friday night as well. In the same week as the ASRC. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning into the stream tonight, and stay safe.